Good morning. It's Thursday, June 1st. And there are things that are going on around the world that it's good to know. It's good to hear about certain things that are happening around the world. There have been companies that have been doing innovative things that I want to bring to your attention, two of those items today, because it's interesting. These companies are putting humanity in a proper perspective. They're trying to help. They're trying to make things safe or better for the world. And one of those companies is Air New Zealand. And right now they are in the middle of gathering information to make their flights safer. And the way they're gathering information right now is that they have a scale set up by the plane. And when the passengers approach, they are asked to take off their shoes, take out their keys and their wallets from their pockets, and maybe take their mobile phones out because they want to weigh them. They want to gather information about the weight, the passenger weight that goes on a plane. And they want to figure out how to properly distribute this weight along with the luggage and maybe the goods that they carry on the plane, the freight or whatever. So they have this experiment going on. They're gathering all this information, and they're very careful with this information. They have assured all the passengers that are being weighed that their weight is unknown to anybody that is taking their weight, the people who are hanging on while they're being weighed, because the information is not displayed anywhere. It is internally sent on to wherever they're collecting this data. And they say, we know that stepping on the scale for many people may be very upsetting, but we want to ensure our customers that there is no visible display of their weight to anybody, not even to the person who is in charge of weighing the people. And this isn't the first time that Air New Zealand has asked customers to step on the scales before boarding flights. Domestic passengers took part in the survey in 2021. So this current experiment is going on with those who are taking foreign flights, overseas flights. But I think it's a great idea. I think all the information that you can possibly gather to make flying a safe experience is worth doing. And the people are also asked to take a survey on their travel, on their direct flight from New Zealand to the foreign land that they intend to reach. And that, in this particular case, they were going to JFK Airport in New York City. It's a 17-hour flight. And so I think New Zealand has the right idea. Gather information as quickly and safely as you can and ensure that when people ride on New Zealand Air, it is a safe and comfortable trip. Because maybe this weighing will readjust the seat alignment or whatever else they plan to do. But I think it's a great idea. That's item number one. Now, item number two deals with food. There's a company in Israel called Stakeholder Foods. It's a startup company, and it has developed a way to create fish and meat from the cells of the animals. It is able to cultivate using particular cells from any animal, and out of those cells it can grow a meal. It can grow a steak from the cells that it collects from a cow or a sheep it wouldn't be using a pig in Israel, I don't think. But for any meat-eating animal, they can grow a steak from that animal. And they can do the same thing for fishes. They can get cells of certain fishes and they can grow a nice-sized piece of fish. And they do that using a 3D printer. That's pretty amazing. That's a Star Trek type of thing. Food on demand from a 3D printer. And it's served and it looks exactly like the real thing. And it is the real thing. It's just that it hasn't grown in its natural habitat. It hasn't grown by eating grass or by swimming in the ocean and catching little fish and everything. It's grown by taking the cells from these particular animals and putting them into a 3D printer and magically producing a steak or a fillet of fish. And as far as the fish goes, that's important because many areas of the world are being overfished. There's no real control over the amount of fishing that takes place in certain parts of the world. So overfishing is a problem, and this could solve this problem. So this little company's stakeholders teamed up with a Singapore-based Unami Meat to create the fillet. And they said in the first tasting we showcased a cultivated product that flakes and tastes and melts in your mouth exactly like a fish should. That's what the head of Umami Meat said. Cultivated seafood and cultivated meat are real proteins that are grown from using the stem cells instead of the actual fish or livestock from a farm. So I don't know if the fishermen will be too happy about this, but I think that if you can create a meal from the cells by growing the cells without going out into the ocean and having to catch the fish, it's a big advancement. And I think the same thing holds, but to a lesser degree with respect to the livestock, with respect to the meat. So while this is a great idea, I don't know how they're going to market this thing. Are they going to sell little bags of cells that you can cook on your own 3D printer? Or are you going to go to the meat market or the fish store and buy the product that was already produced by the 3D printer in those locations? It'll be interesting to see how this innovative food distribution will take place. Think about that. Somebody could create a meal using a 3D printer at home by getting the correct cells for fish and meat. And think about the amount of people who fish for a living and those who raise livestock for a living. What's the effect going to be on them? I have no idea. And maybe some of them will even participate in the growth of this industry. Let's call it the growth of the cell seafood meat industry. It's really far out there when you think about this. It's like a space odyssey. It's like Star Trek come to Earth in 2023. So I leave you with that this morning. Two things that are innovative, one of which will provide additional information for the safety of humanity. That's the airline stuff. And the other will be a very interesting experiment in the way we continue to feed ourselves. So have a great day. Bye.